Would you look at that? Shannon Sharp is going to first take. And I'm sure the Green Goblin will be crying in the car tonight. Oh well. Anywho, what's up, folks? Back with another one. And we are in the midst of preseason, week 2, actually. By the time you're viewing or listening to this, we will be in day 2 of the Chargers joint practices with my hometown New Orleans Saints. And depending on where you're getting your information, a lot's going right, with very little not so much. Or, most things are going right with some areas where things need to improve. Or just some guys suck altogether. I like the fair and balanced approach. So, based on everything that I've seen, somewhere in the middle. But yeah, like I said before, you know what it is. We're back with another 5-piece for the head top. So let's get into that. I'm gonna start this off with something that gave me a little bit of a chuckle. Clearly, as you just heard. Number 1, dry snitching. Because that appears to be exactly what was on Kyle Van Noy's mind a couple days ago when he went on Twitter to express his surprise, shock, if you will, about the fact that Bryce Callahan's still a free agent. To which someone hopped in the comments and said, hey, why doesn't Staley hop on the phone and make that call? And Van Noy responds, paraphrasing here, basically, how do we know that Staley makes that decision? Or can make it? Or however he put it. But basically what he was alluding to is what we've kind of sort of heard from former players in the past. That, there may be some meddling with regard to personnel decisions. Or that the head coach doesn't necessarily have as much of a say in that as you may think they would. Of course it doesn't really come down to the coach having a final say, because essentially, that's like the GM's job to make sure that they get the proper players, but the coach does express what he needs, and it's kind of sort of the GM's job to help give him that. Look, I'm not saying, but I'm kind of saying, y'all see how all this is looking, right? Anyway, not going down that rabbit hole because I know you're going to start calling me a conspiracy theorist, but I pay attention to patterns. And yeah, there's one that exists, and we have some tangible evidence in the form of former players expressing things of this nature. It's not the first time, probably won't be the last, but I digress. Anyway, just thought I'd get that off of my chest because I thought it was funny. So anyway, on to the meat and potatoes. And actually, that brings me into number 2. Borrowed time. John Johnson not being a Charger and going to the Rams for essentially nothing is weird, okay? He's one of Brandon Staley's guys, had his best season in Brandon Staley's defense with the Rams, but Brandon Staley's no longer there, and the scheme is a little bit different. So, why isn't he a Charger? Is it because the Chargers have that much faith in Alohi Gilman and JT Woods? Or is it because the powers that be feel like you have enough there and you need to make it work? Coach him up. All that sounds great. In certain instances, I can understand that. But, couple things. Alohi's dealing with a knee contusion, and apparently it's not that big of a deal. Staley says he'll be fine. But we were all sitting with our butts puckered when we saw him with that leg sleeve on initially, because we didn't know what the hell was going on. And the alternative, if Alohi can't go, is JT Woods, who is still a developmental player. Now, do you want to really throw JT out to the Wolves week 1 against the Dolphins? I know a lot of people don't really believe in a window, but look at the Chargers as they're currently constructed. Apologies there. The way that you see this team now, and I know you can say this with most teams, but the Chargers could look very, very different next year because of the cap. And in order for them to be compliant, they're going to have to do some maneuvering, and maybe a couple of your favorite faces may not be around any longer. So yeah, if this is the best that your team can look right now, then you should probably be doing all you can to have all of the requisite pieces in place to ensure or give yourself the best opportunity to succeed. And I wouldn't say that that's the case right now, especially when you could have made a move for not very much bread. Anywho, let's just hope that Alohi can stay healthy. And even then, we're talking about a guy who may be a average free safety. Maybe they feel comfortable enough with what he showed them last season and some development in this offseason to where think that he can be at least an average to maybe slightly above average free safety in the NFL. They're the experts, right? All right. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about some more fun stuff, shall we? Number 3, the Oregon Trail. And my 80s babies out there will get the reference. For everyone that came after, Gen Zers, whatnots, can't really help you. You guys grew up in a different time, and you missed out on a lot of really awesome stuff. Sucks for y'all. Anywho, did any of y'all out there notice anything different offensively from the Chargers against the Rams in the first few drives of last week's game? Maybe a couple of different formations? Okay, I'll kill the drama. They ran pistol, and not just base pistol, but offset pistol. The fullback next to Easton Stick, tailback behind him. Actually one of my favorite formations. You could do so much out of that and put so much stress on a defense, particularly if you have a mobile quarterback and a few good running backs. You could literally just use that as your base offense and run multiple looks out of it. It'll never happen, but man can dream. Anyway, that's actually something that Herbert did a bunch of at Oregon, was very successful with it. But I'm going to look beyond that. There's a certain name that's on the staff now that also had experience running the pistol offense as a quarterback and was a pretty awesome college quarterback. Y'all see where I'm going? Give you a second to figure it out. Okay, we don't have that kind of time. Pat White. That's right. Many people may have forgotten, but he is on the Chargers staff. And Pat White, look, let me go down memory lane really quickly. The West Virginia Mountaineers from 04 to 08 were crazy. You had Pat White as your quarterback, who's your dual threat guy, but those legs, more than anything, is what really made that offense go. You had Steve Slayton at running back. Phenomenal. Another speedy, shifty dude. You had Darius Raynaud, who, sorry guys, welcome to another episode of Who Doesn't Craig Know. There's a Louisiana kid that grew up in my rival neighborhood, playing for my rival neighborhood. So knew him growing up. And also Pat McAfee was a part of that squad as well. So Snapple fact. But man, that offense was explosive. So I'm sure some of what Pat had with regard to experience and some of his influence and input is going in there with Kellen Moore, and with Herbert having run that similar style of offense before. I'm sure the Chargers are going to use it to great advantage. And I'm looking forward to it, because anything that you can do to get Herbert on the move and not have him necessarily be static in the pocket, I'm all for. But also, from a perspective of how you can utilize your running backs, you can get both Eckler, Spiller, Kelly, whatever combination you want. Of course, you know who I'm partial to. In the backfield at the same time, you can motion guys out. You can get tight ends on the move. There's a lot of stuff you can do there. RPO stuff, option stuff, just Anyway, I don't want to nerd out on you guys. It's not what you're here for. But I'm very, very happy it's being incorporated, and I hope to see a lot of it. And on to the foreski. Full house. I'm not going to take this time out to pat myself on the back, but sorry, man. Elijah freaking Dotson. Y'all saw that. he's giving the Chargers a lot to think about. You already had it pretty much mapped out, right? You've got Eckler, Josh Kelly, Isaiah Spiller. And then there was Larry Roundtree, who's no longer a Charger, by the way. Best of luck to you, Larry. But is anyone really surprised? Dotson stepping up and going, 6 carries for like 92 yards, 2 huge runs. And yeah, he was against backups, but he's also an undrafted rookie free agent. So it's not like Eckler was doing it. He was playing the level of competition that he should face as an undrafted rookie free agent. And he made the most of his opportunities. If he can continue to produce like that throughout the preseason, the Chargers are really going to have to consider how they can keep him around. Now, I don't foresee them keeping 4 backs. But in the event that they do decide they have to find a way to get the guy on the team, whether that's, find a way to sneak him through to the practice squad, whatever, however they get it done, could come at the cost of another player. And the person that kind of sticks out to me a little bit is Xander Horvath. I'm not really sure if they'll cut Xander because they like him as a core special teams guy. But something they're going to have to try to work their way through, because I don't necessarily think you want to let a talent like that go, especially when you take into consideration the fact that this is probably Eckler's last year. Kelly is on the last year of his contract, and you're looking at a backfield that's going to be Isaiah Spiller and who else? Be nice to have a 1-2 young punch, cost controlled for the next couple years to move forward with at the running back position. Hell, nobody wants to pay running backs these days now, so you're doing yourself a little bit of a favor there. Even though the market is the market. I don't agree with the fact that the dudes don't make any money, but the business is what it is. And if you're gonna go that route, then this may be the easiest path to having good production and young talent that you can continue to groom that can be effective. And I mean, am I saying that either one would be an ideal Eckler replacement next year? Nah, but combined, both of them give you pretty much everything that you get from Eckler. Spiller's a bigger back that did exhibit a little bit of speed there on that 71-yarder that got called back. So take that for what it's worth, but he can also catch out of the backfield. And if you're looking for a faster, shiftier dude, Dotson clearly can be that. I mean, at least through one game. So let's get through the rest of the preseason and see how it works out. But it's a good problem to have. And for the finale, I'm going to harken back a little to the intro where I mentioned the Chargers being in joint practices right now with the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to call this one, number 5, boot camp. Louisiana, shaped like a boot. Yeah, that. Anyway, what I'm interested in right now is to see what kind of adjustments are being made in day 2 as opposed to day 1. We already know what happened there. The Chargers apparently didn't perform all that well in the red zone, which has been a bugaboo in the past. And Kellen Moore's offense is supposed to be a little bit better in that regard. Dennis Allen's a really good defensive coordinator. He pretty much has a better than decent Saints defense practically every year that he's either been the DC or head coach. So I'm not super surprised by it. But the Chargers are getting some really good looks out there. They got to get that red zone stuff figured out. You can't be settling for 3s. 6s are what wins you games. But what I'm interested in after just the Friday practice, of course, and seeing how things were adjusted and how they performed there, going into the game on Sunday, can Easton Stick give a follow-up performance to what we saw against the Rams last week? Even though he's still going to be going against the Saints backups, some of their backups are dudes that are fighting for starting roles who have starter experience or at least starter level snaps in years prior. So this ain't going to be no walk in the park for you, Easton. If he can put on a somewhat similar performance, then hey, we might actually have something there in the backup. And once again, you feel a little bit more comfortable in the event that he has to step on the field for, a few snaps, maybe a game. I don't want to have to go that far, but you get what I'm saying. QJ. Saints have some dogs in the secondary. particularly at corner. And day one, doesn't look like a whole lot went his way. We saw the drops from game one, and look, I'm never here on this channel in general, will never be pander bears, is what I call it. We like QJ, first round draft pick. He's a Charger. We're rooting for him. We want the kid to be great. But we cannot deny what we saw last week. He had the drops. Some of that stuff, and we won't get into detail about it because everyone has their varying opinions on it, but there are a few things that happened that you can't dispute. There were a couple catches that he absolutely should have made. Let's see some improvement from last week to this week. Yeah, I'm sure there were some nerves there, but again, you can't just dismiss it as that because we've seen this. These were known issues coming out of TCU, and they seem to be showing up here later in camp, and now that they have actual on-field competition, it's reared its ugly head a little bit more. So Sunday, all eyes on you, QJ. Get those hands rocking and rolling. Hell, sleep next to the jugs machine for all I care for the next few days. Whatever. Just let's get there, man. Let's see some improvement. Step up, make a couple plays, and really and truly, I'm not talking about the 50, 60-yard bombs, dude. Just catch some slants. Let me see you securely catch the ball as naturally as possible, because even on that touchdown he caught from stick, he bobbled it a little bit. You can tell it's probably in his head, but I'm not without confidence in the kid. I'm just realistic, and I know that when you have problems like that, they aren't fixed overnight. Just give them some time. But that's what I'm going to be looking for this weekend. And until the next time around, y'all just keep it light. Be easy. Y'all know what it is with me. I appreciate you for taking time out to listen to me, because I'm just here ranting. I'm just a dude, loves the team the same way y'all do. We may not always agree on different points, which is fine. That's what makes the world go round. But I'm always going to shoot you straight, regardless. You know what it is with me. Yeah, I am sipping out of a straw from a can. I don't care what you say about me. I had a past experience where I had a drink and didn't clean the rim of that bad boy and ended up swallowing something. I don't know what it was. Yo, pause. That was a lot of pause-worthy stuff in that last statement. But whatever, we're going to be adults. And I'm not taking that risk anymore. So I'm using straws from here on out. And I didn't necessarily have to give that explanation, but I know some of y'all are going to nitpick me about it. So, you know, I entertained it for you because I love you guys. But again, till the next time, see you actually after hours, after the game on Sunday, where we'll be chopping it up about however the game went. But catch y'all in. Take it easy. Gone.